Hello, 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 and hello again. I hope everyone is I hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully that's the case. Well, we're back. Ramel, private investigator. I'm here to try to be helpful and inform you of some things that perhaps you may not be aware of, or at least to the extent certain things exist you may not be aware of. At the end of the day, always better to know than not to know. So, what I'll be talking about today is evidence. And I'll tell you how this comes about. Very interesting. Who might it benefit? Anybody that's listening. You never know when something may happen to you and you have to do something associated with the acquisition of evidence. You never know. In particular, though, I looked at a few of the YouTubers. I see some really very interesting people that are doing the true crime. Very interesting. And in some of their assessments, opinions, evaluations, and all that sort of things, all that sort of thing, I mean to say, I've actually heard some degree of confusion, and this is not to knock anybody, but some degree of confusion in some areas, and more so in particular with the people who are providing this information. Now, listen, if you don't know something or if you're not aware of something, um, no one person can know everything anyway, including me. I don't exclude myself. But evidence is a very critical piece of information with respect to its use. In particular, if you're going to go before the courts, it's not as simple as finding something after the fact and bringing it in. Let's say to an attorney. The attorney has to figure out how he or she is going to present that to the court, whether or not it's even going to be admissible. So these are things that it'd be helpful to know. It can help you in any given situation, no matter what that situation might be. Stand by. So we look at evidence and we look at the different types of evidence that come forward. We tend to think in a generalized way, but evidence is varied and comes in many different forms. Example's sake, you have circumstantial evidence. You have prejudicial evidence. You have mental evidence. You have physical evidence. You have evidence associated with behavior, conduct. All of these different things come into play when we talk about this whole thing we refer to as evidence. Another important factor associated with evidence is how well it's preserved, depending on what type of evidence it is. Could be technical evidence, how well it's preserved, who preserved it, under what circumstances was it preserved, and how was any transfer associated with that evidence made. Now, this sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo or whatever term you want to use to kind of play it down a bit, but it's important. One of the most important things about evidence is that it accomplishes its goal. So if you have a specific issue at point and you have evidence that you want to put in place to bring a proof to that position, this is what evidence is all about. And trust me, in criminal cases, if the evidence does pass muster of admissibility, the next challenge is the cross-examination by the prosecutor. And depending on how that evidence was acquired, we have to look at the authenticity, the genuineness of the evidence as well. That evidence can be shot to HELL, try not to curse. That's just me, what can I tell you? So in any event, these are very, very, very strong considerations. Evidence. An eyewitness is a form of evidence. An eyewitness says they saw a particular thing happen. So let me help you with this. Sit back for a minute. I want you to chill out and follow me on this one. Let's say you're visiting a friend late at night after 12 o'clock. And it's a female friend. You're a female. You hear a scream. What do people do when they hear a scream? They sort of move in the direction of the scream after they've gotten past the initial shock. Am I right or wrong? I'm right. Well, you know I'm right. And so now what happens is you're moving in that direction, but you're also doing it rather cautiously because you don't know what the scream is about. Did someone see a mouse? A mouse in the house? And was someone see a mouse in the house? Or was it something different? Something clearly more sinister. So you get to where you hear the sound. It's in the bedroom. And you slowly open the door. When you open the door, you see a man standing over a woman with a knife in hand, blood profusely coming from the body of the person, let's say, laying on the bed. Now, as this goes to court, the eyewitness, when the police show up, I should say, because the police have to come first, but the police show up. The eyewitness says, well, this man stabbed this woman. He denies it. Now, we all know whether you're guilty or not. The average person that gets arrested, whether they did it or not, whether someone saw him do it or not, what do they say? I didn't do it. What is Eddie Murphy says? Wasn't me. I didn't do it. That's what people say. That's what people do. It's inherent. Nobody really wants to be in jail. Now, you are you represent what's called primary evidence. Your testimony is direct. You saw what happened. It's not secondary, and there are forms of secondary evidence. And so you're brought to the witness stand, and you say, I saw John Doe. Everybody says John Doe. I saw Jack. I saw Jack with the knife, and he stabbed her. Now that's what you say as a prosecution witness, basically. Now, what happens when you get cross-examined, to try to get a better sense of what you actually did see. So a defense attorney, you were present. Yes, I was. You saw the body. You saw the position the body was in. Yes, I did. You saw the person you saw Jack standing over Jill with a knife in hand. Do you recall whether there was blood on Jack's hand? Yes, there was. Do you recall whether there was blood on the knife? Yes, there was. And I do recall that. Now, here's the most critical question of all. This is what let's say this is what boils the egg. I know it's corny, but you get my point. So what happens is, I didn't see it, but who else could have done it? I didn't see anyone else. Here's what may have happened. And I've had situations like this. I don't make this stuff up. Someone else actually stabbed the individual. The person, Jack, that came in after the fact because he too heard the scream. He was there, and the visitor was unaware of the fact that he was there. He came into the room, and he does what many, many, many people do. The knife was in the body. In his mind, if I take the knife out, somehow that's going to make things better for the person who was stabbed. Now, any medical person will tell you, no, you don't do that. You have that done by a doctor who knows exactly what to do. Because what happens is sometimes in the process of removing the knife, you sever something else, another vein or something, another organ, and so forth and so on. Also, to some limited degree, there's a degree of blockage that's created by the knife. The minute you remove the knife, whatever it was blocking, now the blood flows even more so. So it's something that you don't do. But getting back to where we were, what happens is now you see where you were not aware that this other person was there. They come in, they see the person, they remove the knife in hand, the blood was flowing. Obviously, blood will be on that person's hand. So there's an inference. There's an inference, which is basically what evidence basically amounts to. Generally, evidence in and of itself doesn't become a proof until there's some degree of corroborating information that brings that evidence to a place that's closer to more than likely this is what happened, as opposed to this is feasible. You see what I'm saying? Now, whole different ball game. The person that was arrested was in fact not the guilty party. So those things are critical. When we look at some people talk about evidence when they start talking about social media, and they mention different things that was posted. Now it's down. Can I get this information from the carrier or the account, and so forth and so on? Well, in my best opinion, it depends on how and to what extent it was removed. Scrubbed versus, let's say, someone deleting, or someone who had some ill intentions initially and did a lot of things associated with encrypting what they are transferring back and forth, and or the use of, and we've heard it, VPN, virtual private networks. They come in very handy. And basically, the principle behind that, without getting too technical, is it goes from server to server to server to server before it gets to that place where it's intended. And in each process, there's an encryption different than the initial encryption that it started with. So tracing it becomes an extremely difficult and maybe in some cases impossible thing to do, which is the whole purpose of having a virtual private network. These are things you need to know. What about preservation? What about the process? How many people have gone to stores where something has happened, and what they want to do is they want to get the footage from the store because it's going to help one way or the other. And sometimes they're lucky enough to get the store owner to allow them not only to see the video, but to take and or extract, transfer the video. What's wrong with that in general? If that's all you did, well, it can be highly challenged in a court setting, especially in the criminal court. So let me help you. Here's what you need to do moving forward if you ever have a situation like that. Some of you, it doesn't always have to be criminal. It could be civil. There was something that you believed that was captured. It could be a car accident. Somebody had a car accident. Somebody's saying something happened that didn't actually happen. The store has a camera that points right at it, can see the whole thing. And you're able to get that information, and you want to put that information forward before the civil action that's in progress. The best way to do that, you have to remember the object of evidence is its authenticity. It's how genuine is that evidence? How much can we rely upon that evidence to make a decision? So when you go in, one of the things you want to do, obviously you want to get authorization to make that transfer. I would suggest, if you do get that authorization, just request, you make something in writing. You don't have to write a dissertation, but prepare something in writing where the person responsible is authorizing you to do it. That's number one. The other thing you want to do is you want to document the exact time that you started the process. You want to document who was there observing you as you did it, or if in fact, let's say the superintendent or the owner of the store was the one that did it, you want to make sure you have that information, that they are the ones that were doing it, the exact time that this process took place, how long it took place, when was it completed, where was it transferred from, if the whatever computer that was there has a serial number. Forget the model number. The serial number. Well, I shouldn't say forget the model number. It would be good to have the model number, type of the type of computer, laptop, whatever it was, and of course the serial number. The serial number will pinpoint that particular machine, that particular computer device, and so forth. So that's important. When you do that, the next thing that you want to do before you transfer it to anyone is just develop. This is in law enforcement, they refer to this as a chain of evidence. You've heard of chain of command. Well, there's a chain of evidence as well. And the basis of doing that is so that it lends more credibility to what you've acquired, when you acquired, how you acquired it, such that it's difficult for someone to, let's say, poke holes in the process such that the information doesn't serve its purpose. And that clearly does happen. So basically what you want to do, you put it in a sealed envelope. On top of the sealed envelope, you want to talk about the time that you put it in the sealed envelope, who put it in the sealed envelope, anybody else that's transferred to. You want to make sure that they're signing off that they received it, when they received it, and most importantly, how was it received? Did you open the box or open the bag or whatever and then give it to them? No, you want to do that. It's transferred, sealed. They will open it up, and then they too will have to set up a chain of evidence as well moving forward, if they want to maintain the authenticity of the information that's within that package, however you package it up. So it's not simple. It may sound simple, but it's not simple. What about, how about a situation where the police are gone? The police have checked out something, someone got hurt in your apartment. The police are gone, and now there's, you look around and you see something that you felt that the police missed. So what do? You pick it up, you get on the phone. Hey, y'all forgot so-and-so. This might be, I believe this can be beneficial. Not the way to do it. Not the way to do it at all. So when you have a situation like that, because the fact that the police are gone already makes it even more difficult to bring it forward. Much more difficult. And in some instances, the police won't even accept it. I know you don't want to hear it, but I'm telling you the truth. It happens. Now, what you want to do, you want to take a photo. My advice would be, if is anyone you know, a next door neighbor, whatever, have them come in as a witness. You want to take photos from more than one angle. Before you even touch it, photos from more than one angle. If it's, let's say it's a knife that somehow was overlooked. Let's say it's a knife or some other instrument that you believe may have been involved in whatever transpired. Another thing you should do, if you have a ruler, take the ruler, put the ruler next to the item. And basically what that's doing is giving people a sense of how big or how small the item is. In some cases, how far, if it's away from the wall, how far it is away from the wall, things of that sort. Now, I know it's a little extra. It is a little extra, but these things are important because depending on where that knife is located, it can make a difference as to just how effective that evidence is with respect to whatever had transpired. You see. So when you take the picture's not enough because the picture comes without context. So what you need are those things, measuring distances, that sort of thing. I know it's kind of like, oh, why don't the police do it, etc. and so forth. You discovered it. There's no telling when the police will come back and if in fact they'll come back and just how serious they'll take it. But when you do these little extras, they make a difference, especially if you get an attorney engaged because they know how to make that information admissible and accessible in let's say in a court setting. You see, the police don't always know that. They know a lot, but they don't always know that. That's where the attorneys come in. That's where the prosecutor comes in. You see. So, that having been said, there's a lot more that I can tell you about evidence. And at some point, I'll have another video. But just to kind of get you started, to look at evidence in a more in a greater perspective than what we ordinarily do. This can help you out. It's not always about a criminal matter. It could be anything from a car accident, someone who makes a claim about something that happened on your property that really didn't happen. They're trying to suck up all your funds. You know, this is what people are doing. We have a very litigious society. So on that note, listen, dream with purpose, act with intent. Subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of good information here. It doesn't cost you a dime. Don't even cost a penny for that matter. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when I got something coming out because I'm not always consistent. I try to be, but hey, I'm only human, right? Anyway, listen, dream with purpose, act with intent. Have a good day. Blessings to all.